Howdy, Internet. Today we have a Schecter. What series is this? Omen Extreme. Nice bass. I think Schecters are cool. I think they're great for the price. This one is taking some DR high beams. Showed in both cameras. I guess the big camera's the more important one. Setting this up for drop C. And so right now it's tuned to drop C. I just double checked the tuning a second ago using the Peterson tuner. The Peterson tuner has great range on it and will actually tune these low notes compared to the Snark. Actually, I'm going to use both. We're going to put both on here and kind of do the experiment. Hopefully these come up on camera. Let me move this a little bit so that we can see these there. Yeah, there we go. Kind of see both of these here on camera. Oh, it'd help if I turn the Snark on, right? It's amazing that the Snark even picks that up. I've had issues where this thing has a tough time reading those lower notes. You can tell that the Peterson's a little faster. Oh, no, actually, the Snark picked up on that quicker that time. I've had experienced issues like this. I'm not kidding. Where basically the Peterson will grab a larger range than the Snark. Maybe it's because it's leaning on the table and there's more vibration. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not giving the Snark enough credit. Either way, we sell both on the website. They're at different price points, so you can choose which one you like. So anyway, this one is drop C. And the issue is, well, since it's been detuned essentially, it's killed all the relief in the neck. So we need to loosen the truss rod. I'm going to do that before I replace the strings, actually. First, I'm going to measure to see what's on here and see the difference of gauge it's going to be changing to with this new set. And this is more so out of my curiosity. I don't always do this. But let's see what size strings are on this first. That looks like that's a 45. Roughly a 65. 85. Yeah, these are pretty much the same size strings as what's coming off of here. And then roughly a 105. Yeah, we're in the area there. You can see that. Okay. The reason I measured them is because if I were putting on a new set that was drastically different, I may want to wait to put on that set before I make any adjustments. But since the tension is going to be the same-ish, I'm comfortable making adjustments beforehand. Knock on wood. Sometimes when I say these kind of things, I end up regretting it because the opposite happens in practice. So, however, one thing I do know is since this is no longer in E, it is a whole step with a dropped E string that it's going to that we're going to need to loosen the truss rod so we can get a little bit more relief in the neck, because clackety clack clack clack, the strings hit the frets, and so relief will fix that. It is a common misconception that adjusting the truss rod will adjust your action. For the most part, that is not true. In some cases, yes, it will adjust both. If you remove relief out of your instrument, it will lower the action slightly. However, that is not typically the way to go about it. You want a balance of both. action is typically done at the bridge, and we're going to reset everything. Oh, we're going to adjust everything, not necessarily reset. We're going to adjust everything to where this plays in tune and clacks the least amount it can and drops C. Granted, this is a low tuning, and this is, you know, it is what it is. We're going to get some clacking noises out of this instrument. We can't eliminate them all, but we can add some relief in the neck so that the notes at least sustain a little bit longer than what they do. It's hard to tell on camera. I was looking at this off camera. But if I fret the first fret and the 12th fret and then press somewhere down the middle between the two, we get very little to no movement at all. And ideally, you want that relief to be half the diameter of the bass string. So in theory, that diameter should be 50 thousandths, 52 and a half thousandths, because that large string here is going to be a 105. All right, I took the truss rod cover off. Let's see what kind of truss rod we have in here. This is Schecter. I'm going to assume it's metric. I don't know. We're going to try 5mm. And it's not. Guess again. It feels like the 4mm. Just to make sure. Crafted in Indonesia. This is metric, I would bet. That fits pretty well. Again, one thing I wish, these are the Stumac truss rod wrenches. There we go. Loosen that about half a turn and then play the tuning game. This bass is practically new. I think he just brought it in here to set it up because he drop tuned it and then realized the clickety clacks and brought it here for an adjustment. One thing I don't like, as I was saying, one thing I don't like about the Stuart McDonald wrenches, some people like this about them. I don't. I do not like the rounded tips on these. I wish it was just a straight Allen wrench. Now, I love the length. The length is amazing because you can get in here. That doesn't really show in camera. You can get in here. I'll do it like this and really like get a good angle and a good purchase on it. However, that lack of material in that gap around the ball can really do some damage. It just never, I never feel it gets a good grip inside. I don't know. If I were to do these again, I would get ones that don't have these little balls on the tips, where it's just a straight like Allen wrench basically. Anyway, retune the strings. Now that we've added some relief in here, we're going to retune and then see how much it is. Okay, automatically I pluck the string and we no longer get the clickety clacks. And it's only going to get better when we retune it, because loosening the neck has caused this to go flat slightly, and that's expected. Let's use the snart too, seeing if this helps us any. Yep, wrong way. Make sure this thing's set on 440. I thought I was getting different tunings. The Peterson is more accurate. That just about did it. Let's actually see how much relief we have in it now. There's more relief, but we're going to add a little bit more to this.
30 years old. Actually, it's pretty nice for being that old. It just needs yeah, I took the strings off it out. I said, this off. I said, well, I tremolo bar for it. Couldn't find one of those. I bought two of them. They didn't do one. One was too big and one was too small. So I was thinking, what we use.
I'm going to go with just one tuner for now. I'm going to loosen it just a smidge more. Just a little bit.
It's a nice little guitar. It's a squat, but it's 30 years old. Yeah, it's still jam like a jam member. Yeah. Thought about getting rid of it.
Voila. We have cured the clacks. Now I guess since while the old strings are on, we can do a little bit more adjustment. Let's see what the action is. The action did come up a lot. We may have to lower that. 2/16 on the bass. And 7/64 on the treble. We're going to lower that some. Let's find out what radius the fretboard is. Let's see, is it 12? Is it 12? It looks like a 12. I got to look at it from this angle. This is not a 12. It is flatter than a 12. Let's go with 14. 14. Feel like an auctioneer. Everybody at 14, 45. We got 14. 15. No, we got 14. Sold to 14 inches for the radius. All right, so
it's probably that you need like a really specific type of tremolo bar because I have a session where someone called me and they're like, need a tremolo bar from Squire, from Australia, and then he told me about how they're not all the same size. No, they're not all small. Some of them are bigger. Some of them you got to get a particular one. But yeah, we can definitely get this thing looked at. Sometimes it's hard.
I'm gonna lower the action here and make sure it's at the correct radius. So the way I do that, I start with the outside strings, and the inside strings I'll match to the radius gauge.
Yeah, I guess over new. Never been here for 4 years. I just got employed here in February or March. So yeah, for the new year, but yeah. So he told me about that, and I said, hey, let me go check it out. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Figured, like, I was gonna take it to Guitar Center. They were gonna send it somewhere else. Yeah, and it's like, nah, I don't want to take it over there. 9 times out of 10, they'll probably make things worse and actually better. Right, especially with this thing being as old as it is, I'd imagine this thing holds a sentimental value. That's how I am with mine.
Got that lowered. We're going to retune the open strings. I hope I didn't lose my upper camera.
So I had my first one. Guitar is a story. Oh yeah, yeah. This has got a good story to it.
And the phone rings.
The last guy that actually worked on it was Jim Fulton. Jim Fulton had a place in Southeast called Lone Star Guitar. And that was Jim's place. And he actually had a guitar that he made.
All right, the camera's back on, or at least on my end. Guess I'm going to see if that actually cut out during the stream later.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had it a long time. Jim's no longer with me, so it just I've had it for a long time. It still sounds badass, and I think
Still sounds better than before I lowered the strings. It kind of clacks a little more, but I kind of want to wait to let this kind of come to equilibrium better. Also, I will readjust the truss rod with the new strings on if I need to. I'm going to do the inside strings now. For that, I like to kind of hold this like a violin almost, so I can sight down the neck. This is one of the reasons I did the other camera, and even sitting down, I'm not in the best frame here.
What was your name? Ivan. All right, Ivan. Ed. Richard. Okay. All right. Very cool. Thanks, man. You have a good one.
All right.
Big job.
Big job on a guitar with a story. Oh, yay.
Oh, by the way, the piano and guitar lessons got canceled because they got COVID.
Who did?
The piano, the girl and her sister that come in, they canceled today.
Oh, okay. Oh, dang, COVID. Hate to hear that. Hope they get better. Well, I guess that gives me time to do. Gives me time to do some other jobs. Well, we got the action and the radius set. I'm going to retune and then do a little bit of intonation. Just check it really. And then if it's way off, I'll get it close. And then I'll bring it in home with the new strings on. Because there may be a slight difference between these and the new set. Jaime, can you bring me the cable, please? No problem. Thank you. Plug this in while I do this. It's Jaime. He's my employee. He does a great job here. We'll get a little bit of volume here, playing bass through this little guitar amp. Did I not play the right fret? Oh, no, I didn't. Huh. That string's fine. These three, this is very, very, very slightly sharp. These are more sharp than the last string. This string right here, normally the D, but this is tuned to C now because this is drop C. This string is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these some. So since it's sharp, I need to move this and then these two back that way. Since it's sharp, we need to increase the length of the string, thus dropping the pitch of it at the 12th fret. Thus, that's intonation in a nutshell. And that's what we're doing. That's part of a setup, intonating. Well, what's involved in a setup? That's a great question. Usually it's just adjustment. Sometimes it can be minor repairs that are just necessary to restore the functionality of the guitar. But typically in a setup, it's action, relief, intonation. Those are the three main things that I kind of address. And it's really, it's like, it's adjustment. It's making sure that the guitar plays kind of like as well as it can within its adjustment limits. Some guitars have to have work done to be able to play better. Some guitars have to be rebuilt from scratch to be able to play better. It just depends on the guitar. But typically for a setup, depending on how much is actually required, I would just allow 20 to 40 minutes of my time to put towards the instrument to making it play the best it can. With that being said, it's time to retune and then double check the intonation. Again, I just want to get it close because it all may change with the new strings. One last tune and then we can just rip all the strings off and put the new ones on. There we go, that G is on. Let's see if the C is. Okay. Pretty well intonated. We're going to double check it after the new strings are on. But for the most part, that minus the stringing. Now, if during a setup, if a customer wants me to put new strings on, I will do that as part of the setup and not charge any extra. Unless it's just a difficult guitar to string, I may charge a little bit more, but I typically kind of discount a stringing cost as part of a setup too. As long, they bought the strings from me too. So basically it's a setup. They buy the strings and I'm putting the strings on for them too. And so that's also, it's better so that they leave here with new strings and then the guitar is set up the best it can be with the new strings. Let's put them on. Remove my tuner. We're not going to need that for a minute. Not going to need calipers anymore. Got to put up tools when we're not using them. Oops. Now these, I'm going to clip off the little curly cue just to make it pulling it through the, actually, no, these are almost brand new strings. We're going to save them for the customer, just in case there's an emergency. This is a brand new bass, he said. And also, these strings, they feel pretty minty fresh. Feel new, so bass strings are expensive. Customer mentioned Drop C. I asked him if he played metal. He said yes. So that's why I sold him these high beams. These high beams should be nice and bright and kind of aggressive sounding, which is great for metal. I also like the DR's guitar high beams. Man, those things rip. And again, we sell DR strings. We sell a lot of products on our website that you can find in the description, afterthoughtsmusicstudio.com. So, if you watch any of my streams, I will read chats, and I do respond to comments. So if you have any comments about what I'm doing or any questions, hit it up in the comment section and I will respond. But that's kind of basically the point of these streams. It's not a how-to or a show and tell. It's for me to kind of catalog all the work I do. And it's to have something to do while we have a discussion and while I answer questions and kind of interact with the audience. That is more so what I'm gauging this as, is kind of a, music guitar bench themed like interaction. I'm gonna roll up these old strings. Actually, they're not old. These are like new. We're gonna save those and give them back to the customer. DR high beams. Here we go. DR packages their stuff in a individual paper sleeves. Is this a body through? No, this is a bridge through. I am going to add the Dunlop 65 lemon oil just for the shine. I'm not really going to clean this because this is a brand new base. Doesn't really need to be cleaned. I just want to put this on here for the... I want to. It's fun. Look at it. Shiny. Can you blame me? Again, I've said this in a lot of my videos. If you do end up buying the 65, get the small bottle. Only get the big bottle if you work on guitars every single day, or if you own like more than 5. Otherwise, that little bottle will go a long way. Even then, unless you're working on your guitars every day, you don't need this much. This is a ridiculous amount of product. Dab it on, rub it in. See how shiny we can make this. And I don't really consider this as moisture. It's more of like a thin protective barrier over the fingerboard to help prevent finger guck and corrosion off the strings from sticking to it. I like to think of it as like car wax. It's just a protective layer from crud. We are going to add our top secret special ingredient to the nut slots. Oh, don't tell anyone it's pencil lead. And now is a good, like, this is a good example of why I do this. You can't really see this on camera. You're just going to have to take my word. But inside these nut slots, you can see like a white powdery residue from the buffing compound. After they were buffing this guitar, that buffing compound just gets everywhere. And so this kind of displaces that buffing compound and then adds a lubricating layer for the string to go in and out. Time to string it. We made it purty. This is the E string, right? Well, in this case, the dropped C. I know that's not how the string goes. It's through the bridge. I'm going to put all the strings in first. I left the instrument plugged in for added effect. Or what they call it, ASMR. ASMR guitar repair. Strings. Sorry, I had to. I like the ball ends. I don't know if this is going to come out well on camera, but the ball ends are kind of like rounded on top of these strings. Yeah, you can see that. Get it more in the center. That's cool. They feel nice and hefty. Boy, DR is a great string company, but I don't get a lot of people asking for them. They're just not very popular. They're great though. Like, these are good strings. There's really nothing I haven't tried by them that was just bad. And of course, you have like your preferences of what you like sound wise. Oh, and for metal, the high beams are awesome. I recommend those all the time, and the people that take my recommendation end up loving them. And down here, I position the ball ends to where they don't bind up the adjustment screws. That just gets annoying. All right, so for bass, I just measured the next tuner. So the E string here. Plop it in and wind it. Use the winding tool. Oh, we almost didn't catch that on camera. I was worried about how big this window's going to be. Looks like it's just the perfect size. Maybe we can move this camera down a little bit to where it's more on the instrument, less on me. There we go. Much better. Oh, wait, we get the clickety clacks. What happened? Well, the instrument's not under full tension. I had one customer bring me a 12-string guitar that we put 2 6-string sets on, and we do that. That's a thing. We set that up for some of the like Corrido and La Banda players. And so he brought us the guitar in because he was stringing it himself, and it just had 1 string on it. And he's like, look, it's low. And it was just flapping and clacking the board. It's because there's so much tension on the instrument. I tightened the truss rod so much it went in the back bow, but under tension, it had relief. So it's just the 1 string on. It was just buzzing. Chewy Reyes says, do you prefer lime over the F1 oil? Oh, the lemon oil. It depends on what I'm drinking it with. Also, Bruno DSL says hello. Nice to see you again, Bruno. Thanks for joining me today. The lime oil tastes better. I know aside from that, Dunlop doesn't make a lime oil. They make a coconut and they make the lemon. I've not tried the coconut, but I imagine they're very similar products. They just have different fragrances. I would almost bet on that because these aren't really any type of special. I need to loosen this and fix the ball end down here. There's really aren't any type of I think special oils or anything. They're just kind of scented. I really just think this is just scented mineral oil. That's all I think it is. And lime oil goes great on tacos. Joey says. Oh, he's already said that. Okay. Yeah, Bruno DSL says they're essential oils for your fretboard. Pretty much. I do think, Bruno, that it does add like a protective barrier, kind of like wax on a car, from the crud and the corrosion off the strings, or the oils on your fingers. It does kind of add a protective barrier that makes it easier to clean up after the fact, I feel. So as far as like just kind of keeping the gunk off of it, I think it's worth it in that regard. I don't necessarily think it like lubricates or what is it like rehydrates a fretboard. That's not really, it looks good, but it doesn't really like soak in all this. Like once a piece of wood's dry, everything's just kind of on the surface of it. But it's good practice to clean it. And also I do feel that it adds a barrier of protection from future schmuck that may get on there. Schmuck's probably the wrong term to use. Crud. So this is a Schecter set up for metal. Drop C today. These I cut about this far, measure 1, and then you can't even see that. That's how far I cut to the end. I don't know, roughly like 3 inches. It's not an exact science here. Brrr. Yeah. Oh yeah, these already, you can kind of tell they sound aggressive. I like that. I think the customer's going to like that too. That's why I picked the high beams for this. For metal, something trebly, something bright, something that's loud and will cut. All right, Peterson tuner. Love this thing. Also, their pedal tuners are amazing. I used to have one on my workbench for a while, and then I liked it so much I put it on my pedal board. That was even higher than it needed to be. C. This would be G. Another C. Then an F. Tune it again. And then as it comes up to tension, all the clickety clacks are gone. Now, if you're into the clickety clack, I got nothing against that either. You can get that kind of sound while you play. Some basses use that to their advantage, and it sounds amazing. right, now that the new strings are on, all I have to really do is just double check everything. We're going to do the intonation first because that would be the thing I suspect that needs to be looked at. Bruno DSL says, weird thing I used to do was apply oil, actually Triflow, which was Teflon based on the strings, seemed to work to prevent them from rusting. That's good but one thing you got to be careful with Teflon-based products, and I learned this from a young age from a chemical engineer that was one of the adults in the scouting program I was in, is that you don't want to put that on your strings, because if you play bass and that Teflon oil gets in your mouth, or you go eat something after that, it will give you diarrhea. Teflon is not good for your digestive system. So that would be my concern about putting petroleum-based products that aren't safe for human consumption on your instrument, because you do end up touching it a lot with your hands. And I do use some petroleum-based products in certain parts, but it's mostly just to oil the very small screws and little things. I don't ever put it on the other stuff. They make string products for that. But that would be my concern with using anything any Teflon-based oils, is that you play your bass or guitar, gets on your fingers, you wipe your hands off, and then your friend offers you a couple of chips off his plate, you eat the chips, and then you blame the chips that night for why you have a stomach bug, and it wasn't the chips, it was the Teflon you ingested. That would be my concern. So far, those three strings are still intonated at the 12th fret. The F string in this case is just slightly sharp, so we're going to move that back a little bit. As in this way, I'm going to tighten this screw to move this saddle back just a little bit. Retune the string. And then 12th fret. Bingo. We are in tune. Let me see how it plays. This is pretty much it. So it's a new bass with minimal. One thing I learned from watching the video from yesterday is I play way too fast. I need to just slow down. This little guitar speaker under the bench here doesn't handle this very well. Well, I think that will conclude this. Let me put the truss rod cover back in. I always forget these little things, and I swear I do them off camera after I end the stream, because I usually notice when I'm cleaning up that, where'd this truss rod cover come from? Got to make sure you put these back on. That was the main issue here. It was customer bought a new bass, tuned it to drop C, and then probably was like, why is it not clack? Why is it clacking? Why doesn't it play well? And it's, well, you changed the tuning and you had to reset it up in the tuning you adjusted it for, which probably would have been okay with a simple truss rod adjustment, but we did the whole thing. Plus new strings, these high beams. Very aggressive, very trebly. I think they'll sound great for metal. So I'll wrap this up by saying if you have any questions, follow up in the comment section. I will answer them even after the stream in my free time. You can visit the website if you have any questions, or buy some products that we sell. And if you're one of my students, you should probably quit watching videos on the internet and practice. See y'all next time.